Welcome back, everyone. Today we are doing a video that you guys have been beating me up for a couple weeks now. It's kind of a two-part video because there's two things going on. So a couple weeks ago, a major metropolitan police department, well, several actually, but in this case specifically Los Angeles, stated that they were going to allow non-citizens to become police officers. So other cities have done that as well, obviously Chicago and many others. And created somewhat of an uproar because obviously being a police officer, you would have to have a firearm. And a lot of people were concerned about non-citizens getting firearms, and that was pretty much followed up probably a day or so later. A woman on TikTok went online and made a video talking about her husband was an FFL and that the ATF, federal firearms license dealer, a gun shop dealer, and that the ATF told him that they had to now sell firearms to illegal aliens, and that led to a lot of drama. So I suppose with that, let's just play that video for those of you guys who haven't seen it.
So my husband owns a gun shop, and he just called me to tell me that the ATF has made updates to their background check policy, and effective today, they give an exemption to illegal immigrants to be able to purchase firearms. Now, this strangely coincides with California, New York, and Chicago making it legal for illegals to be police officers. Tell me our government isn't about to pull some shenanigans without telling me our government's about to pull some shenanigans.
So before we get into what's actually going on and what is legal and illegal, who can own guns, who can't own guns, I just want to mention that this video is going to be a Mug Club episode. So for those that don't know, I make content exclusively for Mug Club. Obviously this video will be free on Rumble and YouTube, depending on where you're watching. And then we're going to go over to Mug Club, which is a members only site where there is absolutely no censorship, which certainly is nice. And we're going to discuss other topics, take your chats, stuff like that. This week, we're going to be doing an update to the build series, the AR-15 build. Kind of let you guys know where it is with that, because a lot of you guys have been asking me for that, how to build an AR-15. And then we're also going to talk about the 20 plus attorneys general that have sent a letter to the Biden administration and his fantastic Office for Gun Violence Prevention, whatever the heck it's called, that Republicans voted for, to ban Lake City ammunition in America and what all that entails. We're going to go through all of that over at Mug Club. And then additionally, before we get into all the details of legalities and illegalities from somebody who's an FFL's perspective and what I know, I do want to thank the sponsor of today's video. Before continuing on, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, and that is American Hartford Gold. Anybody who's watched the channel knows that I am not a huge fan of fiat currency, and that is an understatement. There's a plethora of reasons why that might be. Constant inflation, banks failing, the government threatening to bring about a digital currency. And as firearms owners know, you cannot count on the government for your protection. Our friends at American Hartford Gold can help you diversify your portfolio from just fiat-based currency to physical gold and silver, so that way you diversify that risk across the board. American Hartford Gold has thousands of 5-star ratings and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Plus, they support content like this, which certainly is not the case with all companies, as many of you know. When you reach out to them now, they will give you up to $5,000 in free gold or silver. And you can let them know that I sent you by texting code GEAR to the number here on your screen or giving them a call at 866-856-2097. Again, that is 866-856-2097, or text GEAR to 65532. Now back to the video. So let's delve right into the big issue up front. Can illegal immigrants go into a gun shop and buy a gun? The answer to that is absolutely not. Are there non-citizens who are able to have guns? Yes, and that has always been the case. So it's never really been a constitutional requirement for someone to be a citizen, to be able to own, possess, use, etc., a gun in America. And I suppose with that, let's talk about a few different categories that I just mentioned there. Let's break it down a little bit more. So in order to use a gun in America, there are no restrictions outside of not being somebody who is a prohibited person. So somebody who's addicted to drugs, a felon, etc. But anybody can use a gun in America, and of course, many states have gun tourism, particularly Nevada, particularly Florida. I know there's some places in Texas that do as well. where literally people fly from all over the world to be able to shoot the kind of guns that they see in movies, full auto guns, suppressed guns, etc. And that is a huge industry in a number of states. And of course, those people are in America legally because they're here on tourism. However, they're not able to walk out of the store with a gun. So to use a gun, really the only restriction is prohibited persons under the law. In order to have a gun, we have a few different categories, and there's one that I don't know the answer to on this. And honestly, if you guys are like up on the law, I believe it's Section 18 of US Code that governs all this, which I obviously have read, and I have a question on it, which we'll get to in a little bit here. But there's a few different categories of folks that I want to talk about and kind of break it down with there. So there's a difference in terms of legality of somebody who is a legal immigrant with a visa and or a work permit versus somebody who's illegal. Like we already talked about, the illegals cannot buy guns at a gun store. Could they buy one via a private sale? Not legally, but it could happen, of course. Obviously, we all know that. So somebody who enters the country and on a visa and then overstays their visa, this is kind of it's not a gray area legally, it's a gray area from the FFL's perspective, the gun shop's perspective. So somebody enters legally on a visa and then overstays, what you're counting on is a couple different things to prevent that person from purchasing a firearm. Number one, you're counting on them answering the question, I believe it's question 21 and 22 on the background check form. You're counting on them answering that legally, and then you're also counting on the NICS check in most states, not all states, we all know that. Some states do their own background checks, but you're also counting on the NICS system to be aware of their status as having overstayed their visa. So a mistake could happen there with somebody who overstayed it, and I should, again, just harp on the fact that it is unlawful for an FFL to sell that person a gun if they're overstayed, or for that person to purchase a gun. Both parties in that case would be breaking the law, essentially. And the biggest way, and I went right to the ATF's website before making this video, actually when the news first came out, to kind of see if what that lady was saying was true at all. But the biggest way for someone who is an immigrant to America but is not yet a legal citizen to purchase a firearm is to get a waiver. So under that code, like I said, it's Section 18 US Code. There are a number of different ways that you could get a waiver for that, and the biggest one is to get a hunting license. So essentially what you're doing as a legal immigrant who is lawfully in America is stating that you have some sort of need to have a firearm. So the one the ATF cites on their website, without even going into the code, is get a hunting permit, and then at that point you are eligible to buy a firearm because you have a need for one, a lawful need for one in America. There are other ways to do that, a ton of them. I know some states allow people who are security guards to have the exemption as well, and there's a number of different ways you can do that. And there's two other groups of people to talk about. We'll tackle the easy one here first, and that is going to be people who are here from countries that do not require visas. So there's actually quite a number of countries that don't require visas to travel to America. Same is true, going the other way. Americans don't require visas going to other countries. So if you think like Canada, United Kingdom, France, etc., you don't need a visa to go there. And those folks who are here legally, again, provided that they meet the requirements and 18 USC, US Code, they are able to purchase firearms as well. And then we have the group that I sort of talked about at the beginning that I was unsure of, and I'm really not unsure of it. I know the answer to it, and that is going to be folks who are here under DACA, also known as the Dreamers. So it's a very interesting case, and it's actually been litigated, as far as I know, 3 times, that folks who have been here under DACA. Twice it's been folks who have been convicted or charged with crimes, owning a firearm, etc., illegally. And then one time it was somebody who tried to essentially get their right to purchase a firearm. And obviously the Dreamers, or DACA, isn't U.S. law, not the way that we typically think of it. It's sort of like the ATF's brace ban, if we will. So it's treated as law in America, but it's not actually law. And so what it allows is that people that met a certain category at a certain time to stay here. However, it doesn't give them any of the rights that someone who is legally here would get, without the exception of not being deported. And so again, like I mentioned, there's been at least 2 cases that I know of where people who are here under those restrictions have been convicted of illegally possessing firearms. And then there's also one case where somebody sued to be able to get their rights, and they were denied. So the courts have been consistent on this, in that for the purposes of firearms, people who are dreamers do not qualify to purchase firearms, which is kind of crazy if you think about it, because a lot of the, and I'm not advocating for or against with this argument, just making the logical leap here that a lot of those people were, you know, either here when they're 3, 4, 5, etc., and they've grown up in America their whole lives, and they can't get a firearm if they want a hunting license, for example. However, folks who are from a completely different country and are here for, you know, whatever, 6 months can buy a firearm. It's an interesting way that the laws are laid out. So those are the folks who can buy a firearm. And again, going back to the beginning of the video, the viral video is just simply not true, at least to the best of my knowledge. As of right now, when I'm recording this video, could it change in the future? It absolutely could. However, I highly doubt it. And the reason I doubt it is that if you look at the landscape of governments, just in general, and ours included, rarely do people get rights given to them that have been taken away. And in this case, it's been taken away for a large group of people. And government doesn't like to give people rights unless it's the right to vote. So that might change in the future. We shall see on that one, but that's a video for another day. So that really is it, guys. Just wanted to sum it up and answer the questions that people have been beating me up about. Is it real? Is it true? Etc. To the best of my knowledge, it is not. So with that, if you guys like this video and you are subscribed, I appreciate it. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you've done that and you're not seeing 2 to 4 videos a week here on the channel, make sure you sign up for my email at the website here on your screen. This email goes out once a month, and it has all the videos since the previous month's email has gone out. So that way there's no big tech giant censoring your eyes from my content. Additionally, if you guys like deals on guns, gear, ammo, optics, whatever the case may be, things that we typically talk about here on the channel, make sure you sign up for my daily deals email. You can do that at the website here on your screen. This email goes out every single day. It contains a bunch of deals. If it is in that email, whatever the item is on that particular day, it's the cheapest that I know of anywhere on the internet because I've done the price comparisons for you. So that way, hopefully it saves you some time and some money. Additionally, there's a good meme in there that everybody likes, a Pro 2A type of meme. Sometimes they stray a little bit away from the 2A, but they tend to stick in that direction. So that really is it. We're going to close the video out here on YouTube and Rumble, and we're going to head over to Mug Club. So with that, piss off, YouTube.